An extract from Cats Who Smoke, written and read by Nancy Edwards. I will always remember those last months as the culmination of 23 long, drawn out summers, those sunburnt, purposeless stretches of weeks sped up by the vigorous flow of the tourist season. The dark winter months were a forgettable abyss, whether it was when we were at school or in the later jobless years. But when it comes to my mind now, that place where we spent our lives together, it's the summer that I think of. It's the beach, crowded with day trippers. It's busy pub gardens soaked in humidity, sticky with beer and sun cream. It's kids and adults alike getting in arguments over beach balls, over parking spots, and having big blowout fights that require restraint because it's hot, because it's unfair, because there's not much else to do. It's drunken roamers under street lamps in dawn hours, stumbling through the old part of town with bottles as the sun draws up like a curtain on the silver night. It's a long, soft street, our street, stretching up the hill, lined with copy paste houses, three white paned windows, concrete front gardens, and those old fashioned garage doors painted in different colours. It's Liv, still 23 like we were then, sat next door with her knees in the sun and her head under the porch shade, her mum's lighter nestled in the smallest pocket of her denim shorts because she was an adult now, and her mum had stopped trying to make her quit. I parked in front of our two houses one day at the end of May, and too excited to wait, I yelled out the window at Liv. I got the job! I slammed my way out of the door. She said nothing, a cigarette in her mouth, her hand covering her eyes from the sun. I hadn't expected her to look too impressed. She was still annoyed at me for quitting her uncle's chip shop. She was still working there, occasionally. Jealous? I joked, holding back a bit behind the waist-high brick wall between us. She contemplated, a condescending glare permeating through the smoke. No, she decided. She tipped her head and shuffled to one side of the doorstep. I went through the darkly rusted iron gate and I took my seat beside her. I continued. They're still hiring. You'd like it too. The guy who owns it is cool. And Hannah works there. Hannah in the year above. I hate Hannah. Well, you... I began and stopped. She had put her fingers in my hair. Hair looks nice. A rare compliment. I didn't know what to do with it. She smiled at me, almost laughing, as I pulled away. You need a job, I said. She rolled her eyes. I've got a job? Yeah, where you never work. I worked last Thursday. No, you didn't. You called in sick. That was when we watched all the Madagascar films. She thought for a moment and remembered. Fucking Monday then. Look, I don't want to work at that shitty, pretentious bar. I don't want to make fucking cocktails and £8 pints and serve wankers down from London. She stubbed out her cigarette aggressively on the step, burning her finger. She winced and put her finger to her mouth. The pay's better, especially if you actually turn up, I said. Funny, she muttered in monotone, playing with the gravel on the floor. Still won't make enough to move out anytime soon, will I? We could save some runaway money, I said, our little half joke. She was still for a moment, the flash of a smile trying not to reveal itself in the corner of her mouth. As if, she finally said. We had both been in and out of work for the last 5 years, ever since finishing school. I had bounced from job to job, always bored, business always inconsistent, always chasing the highest pay by the hour. Liv was a horrible influence on my work ethic, always late, always lazy, always calling in sick. It was hard to be motivated when she was just next door, lounging the days away on her front doorstep. I had always envied her parents' indifference to her flippancy. She lit another cigarette, took a long, ugly drag and puffed it out again. I'm so skint. Just think about the job, all right? I could talk to Atticus tomorrow. I'm working. Liv scoffed at that offer, slightly disgusted. I locked my car and opened my front door. I've got to shower, but you can come over in a bit if you want. She was ignoring me now, just staring forward at my car in the road. The house was quiet, only fans whirring, both my parents close to sleeping, overheated on the sofa. Slowly, I waded up the stairs. My shirt was stuck to me with sweat. In the bathroom, I unpeeled it from my body and got in the shower, my feet throbbing, my skin raw as I stood under the hot water. I turned it cold. When I got out the shower, I looked out of the window and Liv was still there like she'd never moved, still in a thin white t-shirt while the sun set and the wind picked up. She'd liked to sit there in the early evenings, since she was much younger, and watch the sun disappear over the rooftops. It was only since finishing school that she'd taken up a more permanent residency there, an all-day waiting post. It partly felt like my duty to visit her every day, because she barely left the house and never seemed to desire to. She just sat there, smoking and complaining. I think she imagined it to be picturesque, like some girl from a film, luxuriously positioned in the sunset with a cigarette. I wondered where the Liv of 6, 7, 8 years before went. In our early teens, she couldn't be restrained to her house for anything, always sneaking out, partying, nights on beaches with whoever he was.